Are we live? Yo, we're live. What's going on, Felipe?
What's going on, y'all? Look at the cabin crew all together.
Yes. So, we've got some
splaining to do.
We got some splaining to do. Who's here? Who all we got? Yo, we're live.
Oh.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
So we got Jamie Knox out there in the Omniverse. She says, I'm here coming in from YouTube land. What's up, sister? Felipe, you want to please introduce yourself with that smooth, silky voice?
ladies and gentlemen, my name is Felipe Engineer Manriquez, coming at you from beautiful California. The sun is just starting to set in the sky. It is a beautiful night, and I'm excited to be joining the cabin crew. I'm there in spirit, of course. And as Jesse knows, I am the host of the EBFC show, the Easier, Better for Construction podcast, and it's my honor to be here with these change makers. Who else is in the house, Jesse?
I think we should start with Armando.
Yes.
My name's Armando, and as Adam disagrees with me, I will say I have no one of consequence. So.
Oh, man. So Armando is the person that, put this whole thing together. This is his whole contraption, brainchild experiment. So he is the guilty party for making this happen.
Yes, he is. Can we say that he sent me, and I'm super proud to get a survey from a superintendent that was very dialed in, that had humor, and it took more than 5 minutes to answer all the questions. And it could have been because I'm just a slow typer. But you impressed me, Armando. I was impressed. Your level of preparedness, even down to the who's going to be paying for food, was all thought about.
Super detailed.
So detailed.
Yep. So before we go to Mr. Eric, we got to celebrate Mr. Buddy Bromley. Says, I'm here.
What's up, buddy?
Buddy is present.
Yeah.
How you doing? Yep. Golf clap for Buddy.
Hey, call Lucas and tell him why is he not on.
Slackers. So Eric, would you mind let the Omniverse know who you be?
I'm the mystery man.
Yeah.
So I'm Eric, and Armando here. Known him for several years. Worked with him, fortunately, unfortunately, for a number of those years. Became great friends. He pitches this idea. It's like, hey man, can we all get together and use your cabin? I'm like, sure. And I had no idea, Pixar, Hollywood studios show up, and here we are. So just really excited to be here, and let's roll.
10-4.
My turn?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I am Jennifer, and I got roped into this somehow. And then wasn't supposed to be here. I was supposed to be with you, Felipe, online, and then decided today at 1 o'clock. I can make it there. It'll be great. And so I got to show up and hang out with this crew tonight.
We're just getting started.
Yes.
And we're just getting started. So Omniverse, there's a question on the board. What question y'all got? This is Ask Me Anything, AMA?
Yeah, this is.
I didn't know that.
Now you can. It doesn't mean you have to answer. When you get invited, it doesn't mean you have to show up. But Jamie, we are not the cool kids. You're the cool person out there. And we are having a sleepover. So.
Pillow fight to follow. I'm Jesse Hernandez, real name Jesus. Y'all call me whatever you want to call me. Just call me. And Armando reached out. I feel like it was in a chat or something. You made a comment about us all getting together and going to the cabin or something.
Sure.
And then we communicated back and forth, and then boom, 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 here we are. And also need to be super clear. This super swanky joint that we're at is Eric's spot. And so when you want, it is available, not today. Actually, if you wanted to come over tonight, you could, but there's an accelerated rate for that because of all the celebrity in the house. But we'll drop a link somewhere so that you can look them up and access it, because it's a pretty nice spot out there.
Yes.
And it's one of many, actually.
Right.
If you want to go to the beach, he's your guy. you want to be in the woods, he's your guy.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm evidence that they let riffraff stay here too. So,
The bar's low.
all inclusive. So we can give Dr. M coming in from
Wow.
Mumbai. How you doing, Dr. M?
Good morning to you.
Yeah, it's
Good
like
night to
AM
us.
for him, right?
Yeah.
Oh, who's that?
Oh, look at Sarah. Sarah should have been here.
Oh,
There's something on your face. Oh.
oh yeah.
So, what was awesome is that somebody that used to work with Eric as superintendent, because Eric used to be a project manager for a construction company that shall remain nameless. But a superintendent that used to work for him saw the mystery man today or yesterday on one of the posts, and they're like, "Is that Eric?" So just say the beard is a little bit of a disguise for him.
I've taken on a much different look since I stepped away from full-time construction just 3 years ago.
But Sarah, hey, we would have rather had you and Lewis here.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying.
Miss you, Sarah. Wish you were here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, Felipe, what do you think about this type of fireside chat, brain trust? What do you think? What's on your head about it?
I mean, right out the gate, I'm thinking there's definitely have been some behind the scenes preparation, dialogue, some stuff that where you guys had a moment you're like, I wish we were recording that right now. Like, I'd love to hear one of those things if you got one handy.
We don't have them handy.
No, just recount it.
The story.
Oh, well, so I'm trying to embody the story that Jesse told when he first was introduced to 5S. So apparently the guy that introduced him to 5S rode up in a Lexus with his shiny shoes, and take it from there, Jesse.
Yeah, rolls up in his Lexus and his shiny shoes, comes to the trailer and says, "Hey, Jess, I'm going to show you some 5S." And I said, "You can 5S your butt back to the office. I ain't got time for that. I got work to do." And so I think, Armando, several times we've had conversations, and you've also expressed having conversations with your trade partners on site, and they share something that's really meaningful and moving, but it kind of evaporates into the atmosphere where sharing the thought and the idea could have bigger implications if you were able to capture it.
For sure.
And so I think that's where Armando came from. And y'all know me, like anything I can do to get on the screen, like, yeah, I'm in, let's do it.
You're in, let's go. So what changed as a result of that? You told the guy to head back to the office, Jesse. I know the story didn't end there.
No, it didn't end there. I mean, one of the big, the important takeaway from that story is at that point in time, I wasn't ready to have an open mind to try something new. So that was one part. That was my part. The other part was I had this person that had zero experience applying it and was coming into my chaos, adding chaos with an expectation that I was just going to love it because it's supposed to make my day better. Right. And so I share that story so that people are aware of, or maybe more responsible about deploying all these lean magical tools, because what we need to do first is create some sort of bandwidth or buffer so that people have space to learn. And at that point in time, I didn't have any space to learn. I had work to do. I didn't care what you brought me. Even if you could have brought me a 10-piece fried chicken, and I would say, "Get out of here. I got work to do." And so, that's kind of the story now. Fast forward, right? At the time, I was using the weekly work plan. I was using the 6-week plan and experiencing some value and building some bandwidth in my brain because the chaos was getting decreased. But that happened over time. Showing me PowerPoints and discussing or articulating the impact or the return on investment of improvement didn't mean a damn thing to me. Like, I'm suffering right now. How is this going to help me right now?
Yeah.
You're not helping me. You're adding to my burden. So I think that's a real thing that us as change agents and us as leaders need to account for. I know for a long time I used to use a slide that shows like some what's supposed to be cavemen pushing a wheelbarrow with square wheels and saying, why can't, like, let's stop and make this better. No, I don't have time to stop. Right. And so like, it's funny, but
It's true.
it's the work, the people that are doing the work are doing it with all the resources and the knowledge that they have. And the people that want them to improve, they're the ones who actually have the bandwidth to do something in regards of redesigning the work so that it better suits the person. But what happens is we stand there in judgment and say, hey, look at those cavemen. They don't even want to improve. Well, what the hell are you doing standing over there with your finger in your nose? You ain't helping either.
But I have shiny shoes, though.
But you got shiny shoes, so you're all right.
So listen to me. Well, so this is part of the whole, right? Is the fact that we want to show where our experiences and other people's experiences, if you show that, then maybe somebody might have an aha moment. They might say, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be that guy. Maybe I shouldn't be judgmental and say, oh, you know what? Just because of the way you look, I'm not going to listen to you. There's value in showing, and that's what I try to do on our projects and with the people that we interact with, is when they have those aha moments or they have something to share that is beneficial for everyone, let's throw it out there and then let's grow this, because the trajectory is there, but we just need to keep it going, keep on, fanning the flames, so to
I
speak.
think that you're making a good point, Armando. And Jesse, I was laughing. I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. I was laughing because I've been guilty, 7 years ago of killing people with a slideshow about how we're going to improve things.
Yes.
And, I'm not even joking. I had some slides that had some history stuff about the 1940s and 50s and stuff and productivity curves that nobody gave a F about. And I had a safety person come up and say, you just wasted 3 hours of my life.
And
that
he
was
right.
Yeah, she was absolutely right. I actually had barbecue with her in Texas later. That first meeting with her was in Atlanta. And then later in Texas, I brought it up to her. I was like, hey, you remember that time where I wasted 3 hours of your life? And she got like red, and it was just like felt bad. And I said, no, that was the greatest feedback, because that was the last time I ever made that mistake with people. I never came back at people with PowerPoint. I was even at a job like in Sacramento, Jesse, and they asked me to come teach them something. And I showed up, and the guy's like, do you need a computer? Like, do you need to like plug a screen in? I was like, oh God, no. I was like, we're going to learn this hands-on right now.
Oh.
And I handed him a marker and I said, let's mark up this elevation together and talk about your flow. And then we went into everything. And as we were talking, we'd pause and I say, okay, now what you just did, I just taught you this part. You got that now, and you did it. And then we kept doing that. And an hour later, he had it.
Yeah.
No slides. And I said at the end too, and I was laughing and I said, hey, no slideshow.
Nice.
That's awesome. Don't tell me, show me, right? So.
And you guys hit it off on that TikTok that you shared earlier. You talked about, we don't start with the big C word first that Jennifer loves so much. And she wasn't even there, and she was channeled in. I don't remember who said it, but starting with that culture first it's a major miss. The people
don't who else like that C word?
Adam
Hoots.
Hang on. That's the guy right there. What's up, Hoots?
What's up, bro ham?
He kind of made it. He made a cameo. He had to bounce out. He's at the ball game with the son. And then we got another all-star. Check this out.
What?
Henry Knott. Gangsta.
That is gangsta.
Yeah. What's up, Henry? I guess we finally aren't like 6 a.m. Pacific time, so he was able to show up.
Well, I guess Eric and I are the only ones that haven't written a book either.
Oh man!
What's up, Henry?
Well, I just want to hit on the culture stuff real quick, because that's so super.
You have to.
In my heart, but I think what we forget is when we go into a room, like you said, we go in because we've been asked to come in and lead something. The first thing that a lot of people go to is, let me educate you. Let me bring you my knowledge. so that so that you can then know what I know. And that's like a default. And whether it's a partnering session early in alignment and onboarding, I mean, it doesn't matter. When we come in and we get brought in to help lead and facilitate those, I think we sometimes forget those two words, the lead and facilitate. And that as we are coming in there, it is not about what we are bringing to them. It is about what we are getting from them that then is going to allow to create the right environment. And so the less we go in with all of our knowledge, all of our pretty visuals and all those things, and we go in with asking a couple of questions and getting them to start giving us their feedback, I mean, it's a game changer. It changes the dynamic of the conversation. It changes their takeaways. It changes their engagement, because all of a sudden we are listening to something they're saying and we are validating it and we are highlighting it and we're elevating it. And then they're seeing that they bring value to someone else. And all of a sudden it's not us up there trying to help educate them, but they realize they bring value.
Yes.
I think attitude is something that goes a long way as far as those conversations as well, because if you're willing to share and then you ask those questions, that's engagement, right? That's not dictatorial. Mm-hmm. Hey, I know what I'm talking about. You should listen to me. Mm-hmm. You're great at asking questions. Eric, when I worked with him, he would ask the questions. It was just perfect. But it does, there's an attitude that from the person that's being asked the question, right? They have to be willing to share. And, you were talking about, just earlier, you just reminded me of a situation where it's a scene, and the scene's in hell, and the guy has a wheelbarrow.
Yep.
And he's just whistling and having a great time. And the people that are overseeing him in hell are like, man, this guy just doesn't get it, because he was happy to be there. He wasn't concerned about his surroundings. And, I think with that being the case, especially with the lean culture and what you're trying to do and trying to show and trying to improve, you can't let people's past problems with lean, or maybe bad experiences, or even the way it was implementing or solution shanks.
Yep.
I've learned so much even on this trip. Just, Jesse described the situation and I'm like, what was wrong with that? I do that all the time. And then I had to look in that mirror. It's like, wow, I didn't realize I was doing that. But that's why we share.
Yes.
Because we can grow. And it's, I don't want to be the guy with a wheelbarrow just having a good attitude. I'd rather have a good attitude all the way around. But it's just one of those things. It has to be reciprocated.
Yes.
I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree. It's like, just like Felipe and Mr. Lucas says, he wants those slides.
Yeah.
But just like Felipe, I still got them first slides that I used, and I've got multiple iterations of slides that I like abused people with. One of those persons is Mr. Noah Hermes. What up, Noah? So he poor, like, for real. I've told you the story of the Hotel Emma story. So one project, we said, we're going to do everything. 5S, just-in-time delivery, last planner system. And this was without the GC. We were going to pilot Trimble, Total Station, iPads, like
Was this a week-long meeting?
This is what we decided to do on the project. No. There was no meeting. I decided. And that's what we did. And so Noah I requested, I was like, I need to have these people on my team. So it was Noah, Doug, and Al. And they suffered through my brilliant idea. So Noah, thank you. But so his point is, right, there's not enough time in an 8-hour day. And so what he did, and a lot of us have done, is we commit and do some of it outside of our normal workday.
Yes.
I think that, like, you get brownie points for that.
Do you though?
No, for me,
okay.
I'm giving you brownie
I
points,
got you.
right? No. So that's the question then, Felipe. What's your thoughts of people doing that at home, taking it upon themselves, and what is the responsibility of the organization in that situation?
Yeah, the organization, I mean, they were living large before you came with your great ideas, right? They already have a system in place. Like, Noah already had a day job before you came with this side thing to do.
Yes.
And it's always a bolt on. And so, like, for me, and I'm in an organization where I'm like, it's one of my responsibilities is to drive change now at the bulk company. Like, that's front and center. And then like, how can we drive and sustain these changes? Like, this is what we have. This is where we want to be. We have a gap. How do we close that gap? And I said, what we don't do is we don't do it at people. We do it with people. So we find the people that have some capacity, or we work with the people like you guys were talking about, like, you don't have the capacity. I already have 8 hours full. How do I make space for this other stuff? And even just as simple as Armando was doing, asking the question, that's a good way to do it. Like, ask the question. Like, ask your team. I went to a job, Jesse, and they told them, like, he's going to come here and change how you work. And I told the people, I said, maybe I'll change how you work. I was like, I don't know enough of what you're doing yet to even understand. I was like, I don't understand like why you need me yet. And that just disarmed the people, because they thought for sure I was just going to tell them, do this, and then you'll be great. And it's like, no, that wasn't what we did. And now we have trust, and people are now starting to pull for more things to do. And I mean, and you could just imagine, you guys know how much I love Scrum. Jesse, you know, like I just think about it day and night.
Oh, what's
And
that?
I went, Jesse, check this out. I went like 75 days at Bolt, and I never even mentioned it. And
Right.
then I told,
Were you like going? Were you like having withdrawals?
I'll talk about it to myself. I mean, clearly. And then we're in a call with somebody else from California, and they're like, Felipe, you got to teach us the Scrum stuff. And then everybody was like, what is she talking about? Felipe, what is the Scrum thing that Angela's just mentioned?
And then
And
you
I
ripped
said-
open your shirt. Scroll!
I was like, we don't have enough time in the rest of this meeting to talk about it with the proper attention it deserves. I was like, let's go have lunch and talk about it while we eat. And that's the way we did it. And the next thing I know, now I've got a superintendent in Oklahoma with multiple Scrum boards, stabilizing a team and going to the next level. And it happened with Pool. It happened with like just creating some enthusiasm, curiosity, and
Yes.
and not structuring. Like, the organization already has like policies in place. Like, if you don't do stuff, like, these are consequences for you. Like, most companies have something like that, right? But to do to change something, you need a reason to change first. And a lot of people just jump at these tools like, let's just 5S this. You're going to get better. Just trust me. If you use 5S, you're going to get better. And like that's not a way. I mean, that's a way if you want it to not work.
Right.
Well, so it's not very successful, right? But
It's not sustainable.
so Eric, I know
Like-
you could take work home with you. When you were a project manager running jobs, you would take work home with you, right?
You had to.
Well, and so in your situation, if you had a solution where someone came to you and say, hey, I see what you're doing. If you might try this method, I might be able to give you hours back in your day to where you're not taking home work.
I would have been curious enough to listen.
Right.
That's the short answer for that.
But how many people in this industry are in that situation? They're thinking they're earning brownie points because they're taking work home. They're suffering in silence because they're in an environment because they think they can't ask for help. When there's resources out there like, Scrum or, just being able to verbalize that is one of you guys talked about it on your podcast before, how do you check yourself or gauge where you are? And if I start talking about my wife, about work, talking to my wife about work, I know I am stressed. I need to take a break. And this is like this right now is therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
It really is. But because of the fact that I've been able to implement what I've learned from Felipe, from you guys, and what's out there for anyone, really, it really has given me time back in my day to be able to do things like this.
You just nailed something, like with talking about that story with Eric, Armando, like having a culture where you can actually say, I need help. I haven't really seen a lot of examples of that in our industry. I see it in academia where it's normal for people to put their hand up and say, I have a problem with this. I don't understand this. That phrase that I just said, I don't understand this. Like, for all of you sitting there together in the cabin in the woods, how many times have you heard somebody in a construction project say, I don't understand this?
Oh, I've heard it. It just, they use different words.
It sounds different.
The words they said is freaking trade partners.
Oh well, so let's not rip off some band-aids. We have scars, right? But yeah, I mean, I think I've heard it more lately, is what I'll say,
Yeah.
because it's okay to ask for that help. I know I was fearful to say I don't know in past lives at past companies, but even when Eric and I worked together, I think that's why we're still friends. I mean, we bumped heads quite a bit when we first met each other, but now we don't work together, but we work together. I mean, we're here together. But you were going to mention something, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, so before we kind of moved on, I was thinking about the last question and how I remember my wife would tell me, "Hey, you're talking in your sleep. Is everything okay?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, because you were telling somebody the crane's got to go here, and you were talking about work out loud in your sleep."
Wow.
So I mean,
subconsciously.
that's
You did a good job of hiding that, because I didn't think you cared.
well, I might have heard from another podcast previously that I wasn't the best project manager. And I will tell you that's very true. I wasn't.
No,
I'm not. And because I was a project manager for such a long time, I never got promoted. And that's okay.
I think you're promoted now.
I showed up every day. I did what I thought I was supposed to do. Kept my head down and just kept working.
But it wasn't the most fun, though, was it?
No. There were, this whole thing, raise your hand. I need help. No.
Negative.
No, sir. You figure it out and you just keep trudging along. And yeah, we can really go keep going. I don't want to derail this whole thing, but yeah,
Well, it's getting better. Yeah. Well, it's getting better, and that's why we're here, is to talk about it so we can get better. I mean, we've got scars, and the generation coming up, they're different. And we got to treat them differently because, self-care. And
the kids that are coming up, they're a lot different. I mean, between my wife and I, we've got 5 kids and 3 all in college, and they all respond so much differently. And I can only imagine someone like my son, who's my oldest, is 23. If he were to enter into this industry, I mean, he might do okay, but I mean, others are, I don't know what's the right word. I don't want to use it wrong. A little soft, And if they were actually introduced to some of just the hard nosed, this is how it is, and a lot of curse words, and it's going to turn a lot of new blood coming into industry away. And from what I remember, that's one thing we were lacking, was a lot of newer people wanting to enter the industry, getting
the same
people that want to work, in these very important trades. The skill sets that people, need to develop to actually be able to do something.
That type of environment is not attractive.
It's not.
So what do you guys do where your place of employment to be the opposite of that? Be a place where you want to have people and invite people in, and it's a place that you want to wake up and get to work, and you don't dread going to work.
So 2 things for me. I think that one, what Felipe said, is that things are changing, and it's not, the world's not getting completely 180. But I know that for my company that I work for, we have gone to unlimited sick days. And you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? What that means is, and Thomas LeMay said this on a live stream that we did earlier this week, that he remembers when, again, he was pushing himself to the extreme. And when he did have to take a sick day, it was like he was getting questioned, like, why, what's wrong, what do you need to do? And it wasn't, it was just more of a conversation. And I think because it was almost taboo, because what do you mean you need to take a sick day? And I've been there where it's hard for me to do that. And I realized, this is when I realized that it had changed, is we've gone to unlimited sick days. So that makes it not, you can do it and it's not going to be counted against you. And this last week, I got a call from someone that works for me and said, I need to take a mental health day. And I said, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And we got off the phone, and I'm not in my, and again, I was the receiver of the call, And I was just like, holy crap, like that's where we are right now. And it was like it made me like so happy that I was crying, because I was like, that's where we are. And it was not anything negative. It was not anything more than just, somebody was at a place where they owned it and was able to say it. And then they were able, to be comfortable enough to say that. That's huge.
That's great. I mean, that makes me a little emotional just to be able to have that kind of culture where that call can be made and it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
awesome.
So organizationally, changing the policies is important. That there's a ton of work left to be done for them, because we all know, like, Jennifer's the famous lady, right? She's a special human being.
She's got entourage. Yeah.
She's going to adapt quickly. My buddy Noah here shares so graciously that he hated me on the job, and rightfully so, because
you were shanking.
I was a shanking fool. Like for real. He was married. The kids were on the way. There were funerals that people had to go to. My response was like, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna have the baby? What do you need to take the day off?" And like the funeral, like, what do you like? When's the funeral? Well, it's on Wednesday. So why do you need Monday and Tuesday off? What are you gonna do? Like,
you were that guy.
Yeah, I was that guy.
Wow.
And so
That's what I was used to.
that's the way it
That
is,
was
right?
the culture. That was that's
Now the policies were, we got bereavement pay, we got what's the
y'all did.
maternity, paternity, like
Y'all
those
lucky.
policies were in place. But my attitude, my thinking was twisted. And so I share that because the policies are great. And when you have those superstar, amazing people, author, illustrators of a book that just came out titled Lean in Love, 5S in Relationships, like, you're ahead of the curve. There you go.
There it is.
But not everyone is there. And so then the question becomes, what are we going to do? What can we do to start changing that mindset so the Jessinators that are out there solution shanking will treat people in a more humane manner?
Okay, well, I have the second part of my answer.
That's a great question. I gotta pop off a screen for a second. I'm not like our friend, but I'll be right back.
Okay. So I have a second part to my answer, because Armando asked, what are we doing differently? What is my company doing? So for the company that I work for, Robbins Morton, I don't think I've said that, so let me make sure I give them a shout out. But every new hire, let me make that very clear. Every new hire that comes into our company, and this has been going on for 2 years, goes through a cultural alignment class with me.
Oh, wow.
Every new hire, it doesn't matter if it's MEP, pre-con, if it's superintendent, if it's IT, it does not matter.
This is a one-on-one?
It's a class.
Okay, class. Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
a class that every new hire comes into the company, and it's let you know, like, the culture that we expect, not just in our company, not just in our departments, not just in our offices, but on our projects. And what we expect, we expect you to engage with the other people around you. And this is our field engineers, our project engineers, the ones that are just coming into the industry, that this is kind of like a different way to look at things, but also people coming in that have been in the industry for 20 or 30 years, because they're coming in, and every one of them come through this class. Every one of them, we walk through and we talk through what building forward is for us, and what are the 4 tenets, and what does collaboration mean, and what does continuous improvement mean, and how do we help with leadership development. Like, we talk through that in the class. We don't talk about last planner.
Oh, wow.
We don't talk about 5S. We don't go into A3 thinking. Now, again, they're in there. They're kind of sprinkled in there, but the entire focus is cultural alignment.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
So
I'm crying. I'm crying over here.
So is there, just kind of outside
Yeah.
what you're talking about, is there a way that, since you've been doing that for however long that's been taking place, like, how do you measure the results and change? Is there a way to do that?
Well, Eric,
It's all right.
This was not a setup,
It
right?
was not a setup. It was like literally, I was like, my first thing that popped in my
Brought to you
didn't
by.
even know that. Well, great segue into that in October at LCI Lean Congress. Christina and I, and Christina is one of our pre-construction leaders, are actually presenting on lean implementation. It's not a yes/no answer. And we're actually presenting on how I have been able to capture and assess throughout the company, and every project goes through and makes commitments and what tools they're doing. And team culture is one of those. And how do we not only commit to it, how do we not only capture it and assess it, but then we look at the gaps between where we said we were going to be and what we're doing, and then how do we help fill those gaps?
Okay.
And so that's what our presentation is at
Wow,
Congress.
that's awesome.
Seriously.
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes me think of the whole reason why we're here is Jesse's going to find out and tell me and let me know what the promise I'm intended to be.
Oh, yes.
No,
yes.
no, I don't want to get derailed.
Yes,
Let's get to
yes.
some comments.
Yeah, let's get some comments. So,
And you got some questions too.
what's that?
I saw some questions coming in the feed.
Yes.
They come in. So Dwan says, hello. What's
Hello,
up, Dwan?
We get to see him later next month.
Next month?
For
Yep.
the Lean in Construction in the Field Conference.
Yes. We're going to be talking about, 5S in relationships.
We're going to talk about our book.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right. That's right. And then Buddy Bremley says when he grows up, he wants to be mentored by Armando. Buddy,
Oh, I thought he said mention.
no, he said mentored. Buddy, you got to get sunglasses first.
Yes.
You got to have the shades.
And then be confident enough to wear them at night.
That's right.
Yes.
Hey,
Don't worry about trying to see
That's
stuff.
right, buddy. You got to do what you got to do.
That's because his future's so bright. He has
Yes.
to wear shades.
No, I do appreciate Buddy. Buddy walked our job, and he talked about the C word. And that culture is there. And him coming and telling me that, I like, yeah, you know what, Buddy, you're right. I was there, but I don't think I appreciated it enough. So thanks, Buddy. Appreciate that.
10-4. Let's see. So we got Mr. Justin. What's up, Justin? You've been pretty regular, brother. Appreciate the support. And he shares with us some of the best leaders and teachers are the ones who have made the same mistakes and been through the same struggles that you're currently going through. It's easier to relate to someone who has been through the fire and came out on the other side. Amen. I think that aligns perfectly with the description you gave us earlier, Felipe. It's hard for me to hear, I get this a lot. People say, man, you should read this book. Like, okay, what did you get out of it? Oh, I haven't read it yet.
Yes.
Or you should listen to this podcast. Oh, yeah, like what are some takeaways? Oh, I haven't listened to it yet. Like, fool, why? I ain't gonna listen to you. You ain't even done it yet. You get any of that stuff going on, Felipe?
Oh my God, all the time. I do the same thing you do. We must have like the same script. I'm like, well, what was it about it that you think would, like, what's a gap that I have where you think that might be really good? Tell me more. And I get them to start telling me, and they can't remember what the book's called or like why they read it in the first place. They're like, someone recommended it, like some brother, sister, cousin's mother's friend said it would be a good thing to recommend to somebody. I'm like, yeah, I'm not even writing that down, but thank you though. Thank you for thinking of me. It's like, thank you for thinking, because you know that I like to be fed and I like to learn. So
Yeah.
you know that about me. That's accurate.
Absolutely. Well, we got to give some love to
Kirby Coates.
Kirby Coates,
Kirby.
I'm
formerly
not
known
a
as
sneak in user. She's fully out.
now.
I know. It's
Kirby, I'm working on some stuff that you don't know about, like back undercover in the background. So you may not know, but you may be pulled into some stuff coming up. So just giving you a heads up.
Oh yeah.
That's always the best way to break that.
Yeah.
On a
Just
live
letting
stream.
you know. Did bring your name up in a meeting recently, just so you know.
And which kind of ties into the comment that Armando mentioned earlier about becoming the promise we're intended to be.
Oh, I made a mistake. I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, like Justin said, it's okay to make mistakes. That's how you become a leader and a teacher.
Yes, yes. Oh, look, we got Jim Gontorius out there.
Yes.
Jim, we're waiting for a question. Jennifer's gonna get you.
There she is.
But he's gonna be at LCI. So you going to Congress, Felipe?
You know I am. I'll be there Sunday through Friday.
Nice.
There's going to be something that I need to go to on Tuesday. Jesse, is that?
What are we doing Tuesday?
We're gonna have the book signing, baby. You know what? I gotta follow up with the venue.
Sounds right.
Yeah, we're gonna have a book signing out there. We're gonna have some fun Tuesday night. New Orleans.
I got some venues too. If you need some backup, I might have a Choosing by Advantages mural already built for some brevity and some snacks and some Louisiana culture. So hit me up. Hit me up if you need. Hey, if you need it, I've already made phone calls and research. But if you don't need it, it could just stay in the cloud.
I got one email to send, and then I'm gonna call Felipe after that.
There you go.
So, were you gonna ask that?
So for anybody out there that may not know what JCI is, can you be a little more descriptive there?
Oh, yes.
This
So
event?
yes, yes.
Is that an acronym for something?
LCI is
LCI,
Lean
excuse me.
Construction Institute.
Okay.
And in October, they're going to have one of their annual conferences, and it's the Congress, LCI Congress. So for me, what it means is I'm gonna get to hang out with all my nerdy, crazy, super cool
Okay.
friends.
So like, what's the normal, like how many people show up? This is in New Orleans, you said?
This year it's in New
Oh,
Orleans.
man.
Felipe is like on the
Felipe's
committee.
on the committee.
Y'all are going to have a ball.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Felipe, give all the deets.
So here's the deets, Eric. Come join us at the 24th Annual Lean Construction Institute Congress in NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana, where the theme of the year is Lean Gumbo, the right ingredients for project success. This whole squad will be there. Registration is now open, Eric. I've dropped the link in the chat on LinkedIn.
Told you. I'm like, Felipe's got it.
Yeah, he's on the ball.
Dude, I'm on it. I've been the Congress Scrum Master, and I just got asked again. It's going to Detroit next year, baby. And
Wow.
Jeff asked me to be the Scrum Master, and I said, I will answer the call.
Boom. And look, we have another celebrity. Kirby Coates says she's going to be there.
Undercover and in the background.
And in
Yes.
the background, Monday through Thursday, by the way, boom, it's on. It
Whoop,
is
whoop.
on.
That's beautiful.
Well, we don't have many comments or questions, but
Well, I got a
Dr.
question.
Oh.
Whenever, no, keep doing what you're doing. But I
Okay.
have a question for the group.
Oh, damn it, I shouldn't have brought that up. He's calling us out.
He's calling you Jeff.
That's okay. Dr. M says, here's open invitation. I got to follow. My bad, Dr. M. So we get to be on his podcast.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
I thought
yes.
he mentioned that. You said you were taking care of that.
Well, yeah.
What happened?
He's
I
got to
had to schedule the venue for the book signing.
Oh, I thought
One
you
piece
were,
flow, Jeff.
well, I thought you were booking Felipe for the book. What happened with that?
Well, I was waiting for you to show up here so we could work that out.
And here we go.
And I'm here.
Like, so I'm trying to like navigate this live stream here. I can't do everything.
Getting shanked over there.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering for LCI, is there a correlation between affordability and venues? Because New Orleans and then now to Detroit. Where you guys going next? LA? Sorry, Felipe.
Yeah. Hey, LA is awesome. I was like, but Eric, I mean, this event is what brought some of us together. Like, I met Jesse at an LCI event. I met Armando at a local LCI event in Dallas Fort Worth. And Jennifer, of course, we were on the committee when it was at DFW, the largest attended Lean Construction conference on the books.
Oh, and let's segue. Maybe just a great time to pull up. Oh, who was the chair of that one? Oh, it was Joe Donnarumma.
Hey, full disclosure, he was invited.
Dang! Got him.
And you know the answer has to
Chair
be
of
yes.
the Fort Worth one.
Yeah, but Joe wants to know for live stream in New Orleans.
Well, yes, but I
Oh.
just thought it would be good to just give Joe some credit that
Yes.
he's had the most attended up until now
That's a big 10-4, Joe. It's going to happen.
I mean, I did get to work with him on that one. So
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
and Joe and Felipe were both there to witness Jennifer assault me.
Oh, that's right. That's where we met. That's a good story.
Yeah, that's where Jen and I met at that conference. And she beat me up.
You met and assault was
No,
involved.
so
Wow.
this is what. No,
Nice.
you-
No,
you have to
apparently
get him to tell the
charges
story.
were not pressed by Jesse. So.
Yeah.
I was on probation.
No, it was because he ignored me.
I did not ignore you.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, so I just had to call him out on it, and,
Okay.
and so he's taking it as an aggression.
Ah,
Yeah.
got it. That's aggressive.
You know,
Yeah.
abusive bullies
You know,
rationalize their
Hey,
behavior.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Oh God!
I'm being serious. So that is a thing in construction, and has been a thing in construction. But as an industry, do we really feel like the trajectory is going in the right way, as far as going away from that bully mentality to the, away from the dictator to the facilitator? Is that a true thing, or are we dreaming here?
May I?
Yes.
So I think one thing that we all need to be like super aware of, and when I say all, I mean us, the folks that are on the live stream, the lean community, is that we really represent like the tip of a needle in terms of volume of people that are working to change their thinking and the way they function. So when we think about construction and the change in mindset and culture and all of those things, because we're in a room of like-minded people, or we're in a conference with like-minded people, we can fool ourselves into thinking that we're really having significant effect.
Mhm.
And the reality is negatory.
Mm.
We got a long road ahead of us, because if we think of construction, outside of just look at the list of LCI members. That's a small, like if we compared that list of paid members to the list of construction companies in the United States, what percentage? I mean, I'm going to say if we were at 2%, that would be a big deal,
That would be huge,
right?
I think so.
But we're not.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking about industrial, commercial, healthcare, aviation build, like sophisticated type building, let's get to multifamily. Let's get to residential.
You kidding me? When I drive by and I see some guy not tied off and he's walking up a 2x4,
Yes.
that type of stuff.
Yes.
Man.
So if we look at it holistically, we're just getting started.
So I think the proof is right here with Eric. How long did you spend year-wise in construction?
20 years.
And you never heard of LCI?
I think towards the latter part of my career,
Mm-hmm.
I heard the word lean,
Well, barely.
but it was just kind of a label. What I would, it was an idea. And I think in some ways there were people already in our industry that were, understanding more today what, how lean is defined and what it really means. I look back and think about, my experiences. There were people at higher levels that were probably trying to operate in a lean fashion, but didn't know it.
Sure.
And, I've got like so many questions that are coming to mind as I hear y'all talk, and I can't even jump in there fast enough.
You're one out, Eric. Get a question out. Jesse, he's got it on the screen. You can ask a question.
Come on, baby. What's that question?
It's like I hear like the tip of the iceberg, metaphor, so to speak, and I think about when safety many years ago in construction, when it was not emphasized.
Yes.
And it took lots of accidents, lots of deaths before real change started to happen. And then even though you had, change come about, OSHA was formed, it even took even longer, right, before you saw big companies actually grab hold of this whole idea of safety, because ultimately what had to happen is suddenly your insurance was going to cost too much.
Mm-hmm.
When it impacts those at the top in the pocketbook, people start to listen. or they start to listen.
So
And because the change has to start, and we've all heard this. I know you've heard it, we've all heard. Anybody has been in construction, at least in management, any level, has heard this, right? Change starts from the top down. If we're going to adopt this safety culture, it's got to start from the top, because if the guy at the top's not wearing a hard hat and a vest and he walks in the job, why would anybody else want to do it that's, working with the organization? So I think somehow you got to find a way with lean. It's got to, you got to go in there and you got to grab the attention of those at the top, because then, and I think then and only then, and filter it down. That's why I brought up the question earlier about how you measure those results. Because I feel like if you can find a way to really measure those results with some real impactful metrics, and by metrics, I mean dollars, and you can show that to these big organizations at the top level, and you get a couple of their attention, that's going to help you, I think, spread it out even further.
So I think Felipe could probably speak to this. The data is there. When you have flow, when you have efficiency, those dollars that you're talking about, they speak for themselves. But holistically, being able to convey that message to the people that are able to take that action with that authority, how do we do that? Felipe, you have any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I've worked for 4 different large general contractors and 1 government agency, and I've worked with many designers and even trade partners, and the profit margins and even developers, it's all across the board. It's different depending on what part of the market niche you're in. I gotta say, Eric, like, I hear what you're saying about the dollars, and you'd be surprised, but probably not surprised when I say it out loud. Sometimes the people in power don't care about actually making money. Sometimes the people in power care about power and maintaining power. And that's a real thing that I've seen. And it doesn't even matter. Like, you don't have to pick on a GC, a general contractor, or a trade company, or even a developer. You see it in different places and different times. And money doesn't motivate everybody the same. It's not a driver. Some people actually care. Like, I'm blessed to be where I am now. And Jesse and Jennifer have heard me, and they do like the before and after what I sound like. And they both have said like what you sound like now. And the difference is culture. And you have to understand the culture you're in. If you're in a culture where the bottom line matters and you're trying to make a change, use KPIs that speak to what matters to what they measure. And so like, I've been with parts of projects where they're like, it's a money problem. Like, I could be working on a job where it's a budget problem. And that's where everything, if you can solve that budget problem that they're having, then you can affect the changes that will have other beneficial consequences. And sometimes it's a culture problem. Like in construction right now, and Eric, you said it yourself, 3 years ago, you walked away, right? And that was after being a PM for 20 years. We have a massive, gap in construction for jobs at all levels, at management, direct trade work. I mean, we even got our friend who's trying to, Steve, to bring back the trades, right? Like, just super focused on attracting people, and Adam Hoots as well. Like, every time he talks in any kind of public way, he's always talking about attracting trades to the industry because we have a massive labor shortfall. Like, this is the greatest time ever to be looking for a job in construction, where you could almost name your price. Yes. That's how good it is. And so the crisis is here. But the people that are like in those positions, they're not always aware of the data. The data is here in the public domain. And like Armando said, like, if we do some of the things that Jennifer, Jesse, and I and Armando's are implementing on their projects, like, we can, with our eyes closed, double the profitability, take months off of schedules, and yet our phone doesn't ring off the hook all day long, right? Like, why is that? Like, why doesn't people, like, if you're on this job, and I have like an example where like these 2 jobs are in the same city, the same company, and there's people that have worked, like, one person was transferred to the other one, and so they got to see like the difference, and they're like, this job is totally different. Same company, same procedures. The job is totally different. It wasn't until they had to work on that job that they could even see it. Like in construction, when Armando says that Buddy came to visit his project, that is like a 0.00001% of people open their jobs up to let people come see their projects.
Yes.
Right? The vast majority are like, if you answer, what do you need, a job? we're not hiring right now. Get out of here, right? That's the more typical. It's not open because of how the industry has been, but that's no excuse, Eric. That's no excuse for that. We can't make it different. So each person, if you're listening to this live stream right now and you're thinking, could I let someone walk my job that doesn't work here? The answer is yes, you can. You might not be the person that knows enough to let that happen, but somebody on your project team does. Or could you call Armando if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and pick his brain about his philosophy shift, which I'd love to hear more, Armando, like how you're like when I first met you to Armando today, which we jokingly called Mondo 2.0, like you've had some philosophy shifts, and it's not like you even see like it's not where you want it to be yet, but like we all, your friends, we know, like we can see the difference in how you show up now versus what you thought was completely acceptable because you were rewarded for it. Just like Jesse was in his past experiences, like he was rewarded for being a dictator and a solutionator. Like he got extra bonuses for being a solutionator.
Yep.
Right. So that's fascinating and interesting. And so like, yeah, people, if you want to know, like doubling your profit is one of the easiest things to do on a project. It's if you know what to do. And you have to know first that it happens with people through what they do. It's not like follow this checklist and then you get it. That doesn't work anywhere. It's not a checklist. You have to understand like what's important to this team. We were on this was just happened recently. Somebody asked somebody on a team, they asked the team leader, like, what's important? What are the important metrics for this project team? And nobody knew. Not one person could answer. And some of the people were surprised. They were shocked. And like those of us in the know, we're like, we're not shocked. Yeah. That's a group of individuals working. That's not a team yet. They haven't had. There's some culture things that have to happen so that they can gel and become a team and work in a single direction. Like what the owner wants isn't enough to gel that and motivate it together. Right. In this particular example, so I mean that's like and this is a team that's been working together for at least 10 months. And they still today, after 10 months, don't know like what's the most important, even 3 things that they need to be hitting, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So that's
goal, like
when we start
if
with.
your goal is faster, more,
Cheaper.
ASAP, cheaper, that don't mean nothing.
No.
That don't mean nothing.
But I do like easier, faster, and better.
Easier, better, faster.
You talked about wanting to get to know more of my mind. I mean, if you know Felipe is somebody with a show and you want to talk about it, let me know.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's just about no BS. Come on now.
Oh,
wow. Is there shots fired?
Yeah. I have that sound effect too, Eric, but I was told by members of my family that love me not to use those sounds. But we always have this one. That's always okay.
Well, that's a great segue into the fact that we've got to start a fire in roast some marshmallows.
Yes.
We've got an agenda, Felipe. Wish you were here, bro.
Oh, I do too.
This was fun.
But I want to add to just the visiting job sites and opening it up because again, Jesse and I were able to walk Armando's job site too, which was amazing. And but I think the big piece is opening your job site, pulling back the curtain, and it not be let me show you all the amazing things I'm doing. And you see the people that are willing to do that, they're in a place to where they're going to invite people in and get feedback to know that there's opportunities for improvement. And that scares the crap out of people because the people that, no, you're not going to come on my job site. Are you going to come steal something? Are you going to come tell me, like, they're the people that have it all figured out. They've got everything's perfect. Everything's great. Or we're going to wait. You can't come until it's great. You can't come until we've got it cleaned up and we've got this path that I need you to walk. And if you walk this path, then you can take pictures.
Everything's good.
Because I mean, but that's we see it.
No,
well, it's funny. I mean, well, it's funny because you called me out on it, and I appreciate it. And that's the reason why I do invite people out on the job because I want their professional opinion about what's going on. I want help. So, and Felipe, you'll probably enjoy this. because I was walking around the job site and I was looking around. And I'm like, it's too quiet. We can be doing more. We can be doing more. And Jennifer's like, that's okay. But I mean, you can speak to that. I mean, just because you have an open space doesn't mean you have to put people in there.
Oh, I've told people the opposite. I was like, this is counterintuitive. Like, and I can show people on a whiteboard. Luckily for all of you, I don't have one, and your marshmallows will get eaten at some point. But I showed somebody. It was actually a team of engineers, and I showed them like, what you're doing to your throughput is this because of how you've got so many coals in the fire, to keep using the campground analogy. And I said, if you would just limit your work in progress, you could actually more than quadruple your throughput with your current team size. And some of them understood it. They're engineers, right? And one person's like, but Felipe, I have like 5 people, and if I don't keep them busy for 12 hours a day, then I'm not doing my job as a leader. Like, I'm letting down our company if I'm not maximizing them to like the last drop of blood. And he wasn't joking. Yeah. He was dead serious. Like, I needed to just suck every drop of life out of them. And I said, I am so sorry that you think that's a measure of success. I'm like, that's not sustainable. Right. Like, you might be able to do that every now and then, but your team, like, we need to talk more about attrition and turnover and like what motivates people and how to sustain the work. Like, you don't work at 100% capacity all day. Like, you're wasting time talking to me right now. So you're not getting anything done. Like, what's that? Are you going to work an extra 20 minutes because you talked to me for 20 minutes? Probably not.
No.
So, but I don't think 20 minutes with you is ever a waste of time.
One, thank you so much.
But 2, people have to care. And I think that's, I mean, if we're going to wrap this up and, we ask, what does lean mean to you? For me, it's respect for people. And if you genuinely care for another individual, then you're going to put forth the time and the effort, and you're not going to try to suck out that blood. You're trying to give life. You're trying to improve their well-being. And I mean, really, if people just focused on that, how much better off would we be as an industry and as a society? So,
word.
I'll drop the mic right there.
Word.
Well, now I have to come see your job site, Armando.
Pull him back in.
I feel bad. He's asked me like 3 times, and I'm like, nah, I don't even see it, bro. He finally asked me on the second time, so why don't you want to come see the site? It's like, because I already know what it looks like.
Yep.
Now I've heard all these new definitions, like, all right, I'm gonna come see. Just how quiet this job site is.
Wow, it took a whole production for Eric to come visit my job site. Now I know why we did this.
Well, now he's gonna hold me to it. He's gonna hold me to it.
Make sure you go to the daily stand up and tell me who's facilitating the meeting.
All right, daily stand up. All right,
thank you for that.
This is give some homework out there.
Good.
Another one.
So we ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, wrap it up, Jesse.
Well,
what you got?
This was a wild idea. Eric, this was your first time. Today he just became an international superstar, right? He's TikTok famous, LinkedIn famous, live streaming already. Thank you, Eric, for hosting us and letting us in your space.
Putting up with all the crap.
Yeah, with all the crap. He had no idea what he signed up for.
Oh, yeah, he did. When it involves me. And like Lucas, hey, Lucas, I'm glad you're still on there, but we're going to work on that grammar, bro.
You got to point that out.
I'm just saying, it's too easy. Like T-O-O, Lucas. T-O-O, not T-O.
Bro, it's just like when you're facilitating a conversation. Whoever's got that dry erase marker, they spell everything right. So well done, sir. Thank you for putting.
Love you, Lucas.
Yeah,
appreciate you, man.
I think, Lucas. Yeah, these
should have been here. That's what we're saying.
These types of conversations, I think we need to do more, and I think that's part of Armando's idea here, and we need to do them publicly.
Lucas says it's late.
Right, which is also part of Armando's idea. And I guess for me, what I hope, like Noah coming up here, even I know he's talking smack and he ain't lying. Everything he said about me is 100% true. But if we continue to have these conversations and demonstrate the behaviors we are seeking, other folks, Lucas and Joe and every Kirby, will start getting their voice out there so that it becomes the norm and we can shift the direction we're headed, or rather get closer to honoring the men and women that do the work out there every day. We can get there faster, and we need more voices. We need the message to be all the darn time. Thomas LeMay and I, we've recorded collabo sessions on the go, Felipe.
Nice.
And he made a phenomenal point, and I'm just total teaser here, about how some things can be normalized, and it's through marketing. And there's like a blue pill out there that addresses a thing that was something people didn't talk about because it's super secret. And now everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say the blue pill, because they normalize the issue. And so how do we normalize the conversation around disrespectful behavior, about bullying people, not appreciating human beings, and being like real and true? Every one of these companies are branded as lean, but they got a lot of work to do before we're actually taking the misery and the burden out of the work that people suffer through every single day. And I think this is one step in that direction.
All right. Yes, sir.
Good.
Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody's time.
Peace.
Holla.
That was the Adam. Hey, we need the sound effects to get out, Felipe.
Yeah.
No, I know.
With you, we'll play out some cool music coming out. So yeah, people, as you're going out, as he's going to kill the live, get out there and talk to a friend, and let's make it happen, one conversation at a time.
Peace.